Hello and welcome. This is Japan, and we have a kind of jam-packed weekend of wrestling. It's like one of those ones where it kind of creeps up on you, and all of a sudden it's like, man, there's a lot of stuff going on here. So I wanted to talk about AEW All Out in Toronto. It's a stacked card, and I honestly I watch AEW and I try to keep up with the storyline, try to keep up with the matches as best I can. I don't typically get to sit down and always watch a start to finish episode all the time, so a lot of it's just kind of fill in the blank. But I feel like a lot of the times with AEW, it is one of those promotions where you can do that. Now, the only thing I ever mess up on that is when it comes to this type of stuff, where uh, I don't know which ones are pre-matches. I think it's just the first three, so there's 13 matches in total here, which is insane. But I think the first three are the pre-show matches, so we'll kind of speed through those because I don't think it really matters a lot of the time. I am excited to see the 8 women tornado tailgate bowl brawl, whatever that entitles. It sounds like it's going to be fun. So let's just start there. We have Harley Cameron, Mina Shirakawa, Queen Aminala, and Willow Nightingale versus Megan Bain, Penelope Ford, and the Triangle of Madness, which is just going to be Juliet Hart and Sky Blue. It's not going to be Fekla. So honestly, this is just kind of one of those crazy matches where a lot can happen, and it's very interesting to at least get 8 women on the card extra here because we only ever really get some crazy stuff like with having like 4-way matches or title matches, but we never really get like anything too crazy when it comes to like the women sometimes. So 8 women brawl is going to be fantastic. I honestly was thinking that it should be like the team of the heels that win this, but with having Fekla out and she's in the fatal 4-way later on, I feel like the heels could honestly lose this. I mean, I'm a big Megan Bain fan, and I'm also a big Mina Shirakawa fan, and then being on separate teams kind of sucks here, but I'm really excited to see the match. I do think it's going to be Harley Cameron, Mina Shirakawa, Queen Aminala, and Willie Nightingale. The baby faces, I think, win this. Then we go to Daniel Garcia versus Shibata. I think it's like their third match together, and honestly, I think it's going to be a nice cool match, but I mean, it's a pre-show match. It's just kind of crazy to have those kind of bigger names in your company to a certain extent. Maybe I'm just underselling it, but yeah, I think it's kind of crazy that they have that just gonna be on the pre-show. I do think this is gonna be Daniel Garcia because I mean, obviously, everything they built up with the Death Riders and him joining them and stuff, it feels like this would be an opportune time to have him get a big win. Then we get to a tag team match. It's just the Ops versus the Workhorsemen. I think the Ops win this. It's Samoa Joe, Powerhouse Hobbs. I mean, that much power on one team is insane. And I think they are still the Trios champion, right? So I really can't see them losing there. Then we get kind of a just interesting tag team is Adam Copeland and Christian Cage finally tagging back together against FDR. I think this will be Copeland and Cage that wins this, unless one of them turns on each other. This is in Toronto. They're both Canadian guys. I really can't imagine that they lose here. It'd be very big, important win for them too because they're a classic tag team. Then we get to a trios match. It will be the Hurt Syndicate versus Ricochet and Geo. What is it? Gates of Agony? Yeah, I was gonna say they said GOA, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure it's just Gates of Agony. I think the Hurt Syndicate wins here. I mean, they've been still pretty hot, even though they lost the tag team titles. They're pretty still high on that tag team and just faction in general. So I think they should just continue to roll here. I think it's just kind of an easier thing. They kind of have to get that one over on and Ricochet because Ricochet's been having the last laugh. Then we get to the TBS women's title. This one honestly is kind of one of those weird ones where it's like I really do think at some point they're gonna have to pull the trigger to have Mercedes Money lose this. I think when she loses it, she's just immediately gonna go after the women's big title. So is this the time to do it? I guess I'm just gonna will it into existence because I really like Riho and I've loved Riho for a long time. I'm gonna go with Riho. Now, if I was a betting man, I would never bet against somebody who has creative control of their stuff. So it's probably gonna be Mercedes Money, but I'm gonna say Riho so I could be like, I called it, even though I know it's not gonna be it. Next up, we have Darby Allin versus Jon Moxley in a coffin match. I think this one's going to be nasty as hell. I mean, obviously, both of them are just like death match wrestling, and it's going to be crazy because the cool thing with a lot of this is like they lost Will Ospreay, they lost Swerve Strickland, so they're really struggling at the top with baby faces. So they're just gonna kind of have a lot of their people just going in these nasty things. I think it's going to be a good thing to have. Honestly, I'm reading the card and I'm pretty sure most of this is out of order, but if you know, it happens, you know. So like, I don't know. There's just so many matches. So I'm gonna go with Darby Allin here. I feel like it would be a better shot, but honestly, it's 50-50 because Jon Moxley was just current champion not that long ago, so it's hard for him to draw another a loss. But I feel like with them two, either way, I think it's just going to be a crazy match that it doesn't really matter who wins. Then you have Mark Briscoe versus MJF. I think it's going to be MJF. Briscoe's going to be doing some crazy stuff. It's a tables and tacks match, so it's going to be nasty and bloody. Back to back matches. I hope they spread these out because it's going to be a lot of cleaning up of like the ring and stuff. Then we got the Fatal 4-Way for the women's AEW women's title. Tony Storm, Jamie Hayter, Chris Statlander, and Thekla. Honestly, this should be the time that they pull the trigger on Chris Statlander, but I don't think they will. The problem is, nothing against Tony Storm, is that like they do need to create other stars. So the only way to really give somebody a star ability is to give them the reins, and I just think they're kind of scared to do that. And rightfully so, because they've had struggles to actually do that. So I'm gonna go with Tony Storm, but I could possibly see other stuff happening. Then we have Big Bill versus Eddie Kingston in a singles match. It's kind of a grudge match. I think Eddie Kingston wins. He's coming back from injury and all that, so I think this will be a solid win for him to come back to. Then we have a Fatal 4-Way ladder match for the AEW Tag Team titles with the Brodito, who just won the titles not that long ago, so I really can't see them losing. But they're facing the Young Bucks, Jet Speed, and the Don Callis family, which would be Josh Alexander, and I forget the Lucha guy that they have. But I think Brody King and Bandito win. I mean, obviously they're super hot still, and it would be crazy to automatically just have them drop the title so close after they just brought the titles back. And they were a pretty fun tag team, so I would like to see more of them. Then we get to another major title. This is just sometimes a lot. And like I'm trying not to like I could talk a lot more about it, but like I don't want like a 40-minute video on talking about it. Because some of it's just like I'm gonna pick this person because that's kind of how AEW is. It's like they just run and gun with stuff. It's the three-way match for the unified AEW title. It's Mascherano versus Shinsuke. Why did I say Shinsuke? God, that would Okada. I guess it was just wishful thinking that they would actually use Shinsuke, but that's more WWE. But I digress. I'm just completely crazy. This is a little late for me to be recording this because of all of this, but I think this is going to be Okada winning. They've had the unified title for a while now. Takeshita would be the obvious pick. That he's one of my favorites. I would love for him to win, but if he's not full-time AEW, I can't imagine them do this. I really wish he wins it. So I'm going to go with Okada for my prediction, but I'm going to go with Takeshita as my sentimental pick. And then we get to the final match. Adam Page versus Kyle Fletcher for the AEW Championship. Kyle Fletcher being the TNA title holder, they don't really need to be doing this, but I guess they want to do this. But if any member of the Don Callis family intervenes, Fletcher will be disqualified and stripped of his AEW TNT title. So I guess there's that. But I think Adam Page is easily going to win this. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets like if that happens to Kyle Fletcher. It would be kind of an interesting pick and suck for him to lose a title that way, but could make sense. But yeah, that is my predictions. I tried to speed run them best I can because there's so much match. There's just match fatigue when it comes to AEW. I like AEW, but I struggle with this amount of matches sometimes because if I start this and like having it like obviously we're gonna have WWE at the same time, I couldn't do both, to be honest. I'm gonna watch it, but it's gonna be in the background, and then watch mainly just the WWE one because this is just too much for me. I'll be completely honest. But until next time, this has been Japan, and I will see you guys on the next video. Bye, guys.